Any accurate description of the weather at the moment would include profanity. So you're going to hear the air conditioner running in the background of the video, and I apologize for that. We've had a lot of interviews lately, a lot of interesting information, and yet still not a lot to comment on. I suggest you go watch all of the interviews at WVU Sports on YouTube. But I don't have a whole lot to say about most of it. So I'm going to cover some of the tidbits and then talk a little bit about the freshmen, who's expected to start, how that may play out. I know a couple of people have already covered that subject, but we had a little bit of input from Coach Brown today, so I get to include that. Coach Brown, and I expect most of you, if not all of you, have already seen this, knows who the starting quarterback is going to be. And he and the team knows, which we kind of suspected when Justin Johnson mentioned Garrett Green as if he were the starting quarterback. But Coach Brown is not going to actually announce, well, he didn't say he won't announce who the quarterback is, only that he's not sure if he is going to do so. Is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea? I don't know. But it has a certain group of fans, the negatives, up in arms. Oh my goodness, it's stupid not to announce, hey, it's not going to fool anybody. We already know who it is. He might as well say it anyway. It would help Garrett Green. It would help the team. It would this, it would that. And we can pretty safely predict that if he had actually announced, they would have gotten upset that he announced it rather than keeping it secret. They are in that mindset, and there's not a heck of a lot we can do about it. So, Garrett Green is probably going to be the quarterback to start. There was a hint that both quarterbacks could see some playing time. I doubt that Neal will see a lot of playing time unless it's a serious situation, as in the Oklahoma State game. And we can hope it doesn't come to that. Of course, Duquesne will likely see at least 3 quarterbacks. Or we certainly hope that we will see 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And we also have the contingent who is upset that Nico Marchiol, as a redshirt freshman, did not step forward and grab the starting role and run with it. He's a redshirt freshman. But some of these people have the patience of a flea hyped up on Red Bull. Nico Marchiol will see his time come. He's going to work for it, he's going to earn it, and he's going to be ready. Same as Garrett Green. Brown also noted that the defensive line is the most improved group of any group since they started tackling. I think we're all happy to hear that. I expect some people will say it implies that they weren't good enough before, but they're playing better, they're coming together. I like it. Now, one of those puzzles of inter-team scrimmage, there were 3 interceptions Saturday, and you don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it's a bit of both, and I think we can sort some of these out because Coach Brown did say that one was a quarterback error, forced a pass that they shouldn't have thrown, didn't say who it was. One was a young running back who botched a catch, and of course, so that's youth. And one was a defensive back who made a good play coming from behind. So that one we put as a plus for the defense. We got a couple of negatives on the offense. Nothing too much to worry about, but a few things coaches don't necessarily like to see. Now, we also heard from Dontae Wright, and I could listen to him pretty much all day long, not just his voice, but man, does he talks football, and he talks life, and he talks everything else. He's a very interesting person. I wouldn't mind meeting him in person. He did say he has 4 guys at safety that he feels completely confident in. Actually 5 that he feels he could play. And that he does not have to change how he calls the game depending on who's in the game. So that's a plus. Now, one thing, he particularly talked a bit about Keyshawn Cobb and Marcus Floyd, and then referred to them as backups. So it sounds to me like Anthony Wilson has moved ahead on the depth chart, which a lot of people were expecting and waiting for. Everything we've heard about Wilson is great. We did see him get knocked. No, he made the tackle on Donaldson. Beanie Bishop tried to make the tackle on Donaldson, but he hit him high. He hit him straight, but he hit him high. Donaldson kept going. He didn't go far, though, before Wilson came in and made a classic tackle. Wright also mentioned that the basketball team would like Aiden Nelson to come and play basketball. I kind of doubt that it will happen, but it's interesting. He was just discussing how talented he is. Of note, Christian Stokes has moved to spear instead of safety. He feels comfortable there. Seems to be his more natural spot. It's a bit crowded, but Stokes is young. And Collins, I think, is still expected to move up to linebacker as he adds some weight. All right, freshmen. Neal Brown was asked which freshmen are going to play. Gave as much of an answer as he could since he did not have notes on the subject. And, well, first of all, Josiah Trotter out for the season, just a reminder. They say he is ahead of schedule, but ahead of schedule likely just means that he'll be ready in the summer. So hopefully he'll be, well, maybe for spring camp we could hope, but not this season. Guys that will play: Jaheim White, Traylon Ray, and Rodney Gallagher. No surprises there at all. All that we're hearing about these guys just keeps getting better, and particularly Ray. And of course, he came in. He came in, last in terms of getting to camp. He is not taking long to catch up. I said James Hurd, maybe. A lot of people were really assuming that Hurd would see significant playing time on defense. Coach Brown just has him as maybe, which suggests that the guys ahead of him are playing well. Suggested that there were a couple of others, couldn't think off the top of his head. And there will be guys who see significant time on special teams. Now, running down the list of the unmentioned, starting on offense, we've got Johnny Williams, Cooper Young, Nick Cray for offensive line. There was a hint that Williams could play in Brown's previous interview. Said he would like to redshirt him, but hinted that maybe they wouldn't be able to keep him out of the lineup. He could be one of the ones that Brown couldn't quite think of, or maybe they will manage to redshirt him. The other two, they are just not likely to see significant time because they still need to work on the usual things, strength, weight, technique. Quarterback, we got Sean Boyle, who by all reports is coming along well for a freshman, and for a freshman who did not play in a shotgun system or do a lot of passing. Word is, Brown put it, he has legit speed. But let us say if he plays, we're in trouble, because it would mean Green and Markill were both injured. If that happened, I don't know if Boyle would actually be the third string quarterback, or if one of the walk-ons who has been there for a while would take over. I don't want to find out. DJ Oliver, I certainly think he is capable of playing as a freshman, but there's no reason to play him as a freshman. He quite adds something that the other running backs, good as they are, don't have. Each of the four top backs offers a different package. Oliver is not identical to Donaldson, but he essentially offers the same package, but without the receiving experience. He may have the receiving ability, but he doesn't have the experience. Tight ends, Nick Bram, TJ Johnson, don't expect him to play unless it's special teams. Just as tight ends, they're still too light. Johnson has put on significant weight, happy with what the guys are doing, but you don't play tight end Power 5 football weighing 215, 225, that sort of weight. They need to get up at least in the 240, 250 range. And as things stand in the receiving room, there's certainly no reason to use them as, wide receivers. Let's see. Defense, Corey McIntyre and Zachariah Keith have gotten mentioned a couple of times recently. They did not get talked about early in camp. That's really no surprise. You kind of expect them to maybe take a little longer to get the hang of things. Some hint that McIntyre could work his way into the rotation, but I would consider it a long shot. Orion Fisher, again, they're happy with him. He's put on weight. I don't think he's a reason why Hurd is a maybe instead of a definite. Of course, they are competing for essentially the same spot, but with some somewhat different skills. Ben Cutter didn't get mentioned, and that is, again, a bit of a surprise, given the way things stand at will. I think we have two very good players ahead of him at will, but they're also light on experience. So we don't necessarily need three guys playing and rotating at will. But Brown did say there's an intention to rotate about 8 guys in, at least 6, maybe up to 8 guys in at linebacker. They definitely working a lot harder at keeping guys at every position fresh if possible. Josiah and Jordan Jackson. Jordan Jackson has been mentioned as a pleasant surprise since he had not played cornerback. He has the talent and turns out has the instincts. I would still be very surprised to see him play. We actually are talented at corner, and there's a lot of guys with more experience. And heaven knows we had enough trouble playing inexperienced guys last year. Interesting note, Dontae Wright mentioned Josiah and Aiden multiple times, and I have to assume Josiah is Josiah Jordan, who is listed as a cornerback on the roster, but is evidently working at safety. Do not expect him to play. with, you know, Tagaloa Nelson and Jackson. Dontae Wright is very happy with them, but was quite clear that the game has not slowed down for them. He went so far as to say he was scared to death if he had to put them in, since of course that would mean, you know, you've got 4 or 5 guys who've gotten injured, and they're not ready. Now, of course, we've got a few freshmen who appear to be working their way into significant playing time on offense and defense through their own talent. Not because we have a desperate need for somebody at that spot. We've got Gallagher and Ray likely to play wide receiver, but Graham and, you know, basically most of the receivers seem to be doing well. We are not in trouble at that position, but these guys are good enough to play to whatever degree they are able to get ready in terms of the physical and mental ability to play a Big 12 schedule, and of course learning the playbook. Same with Jaheim White. He's playing because he's just that talented and has a specific ability. The other 4 running backs, you know, they're good. We don't have a weakness in that room. We are not playing White because we don't have anybody else. So these are all pluses. Last year we ended up having to play guys because we didn't have anybody else. We're not in that spot now. And that's through planning. Now, they've been planning for years, but in terms of the defensive backfield, things fell into place better this year, partly through better execution by the coaches, partly just through time to gain experience, and NIL. So it sounds like the freshmen who are going to play are going to be electric. They're going to be fun to watch, but we're going to have a lot of fun watching the guys who are still ahead of them through experience and talent. We got ourselves a team. Well, it's real close to, you know, Penn State time. Less than 2 weeks from when I'm recording this video. So before long, we're going to be talking history instead of theory, or some of both, as we look back at a game and look forward to the next game. And for now, I'm going to look forward to the next video. Thanks for dropping in. I'll see you later, and we'll talk more West Virginia football.